But there were a lot of people in the label that absolutely hated them and didn't want them signed. And we signed them, and we did release 3 records before the big record hit. And I guess the high moment was standing at the back of Glastonbury watching 85,000 people sing Common People, where you just think, oh my God, that couldn't have happened. You know, that just couldn't have happened. And that was a high point. And another high point was that you can't work for Chris Blackwell without having some form of social justice element to what you do. And obviously I worked on the Bob Marley campaign, never had the privilege of knowing him, but I also worked very closely with U2, and in 1997 introduced Bono to the concept of debt relief and third world debt and the Jubilee 2000 campaign. And the high point for me was in 2001 when he thanked me from the podium of the of the United Nations, and I thought that was an incredible moment for somebody who just wanted to release a few records, you know. So,
what about the low point, Mark?
Low point. Low point was waking up realising that I didn't own Island Records in 2000 when Lucian Granger was promoted to deputy chairman, and I realised the writing was on the wall for me. I thought I owned the fucking label. I thought I was a god. I thought I was a shareholder. I wasn't. I was just an ordinary employee doing my best to run the label as best I could. And I went into an enormous lawsuit with with Universal, sorry, because I just had to, and it was terribly debilitating. It was my midlife crisis, but that was my low point.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I got a low point. Probably shared in common with a few people in this room. When Amato went bust, obviously that was a pretty heavy hit for the whole independent dance scene. We personally lost about a 6-figure sum there. We went on to better things. We're now distributed by Ministry of Sound, which is great. But so that was a fairly low one. But in terms of high points, I think they happen every time you go out and see your artist perform. But one that sticks in the memory is Brazil, 2007, New Year's Eve in Rio, 1 million people on Barra Beach. Take some beating.
Tough.
Yeah.
Say again?
Eric, you must have had some good highs and lows.
Yeah, I think the low points, I just can't count them. So I'd say for me a low point is always when somebody in a position of power and trust in your relationships lets you down, when they effectively not destroy the artist's career because somehow you get back on it, but for whatever reason they decided not to deal with you. That's usually the low point. And I mean, high points, there's lots. I guess the best thing was that when Moby released Play, we couldn't get a deal basically again. This time not me, because we were with Mute in the UK, but in the States. When we finally got it released, we hoped that it could sell as much as his first record that we released as a proper album. It was about 250,000. And then the first show we were going to do in the UK was at the Scala, I think. And we had to postpone the show because we couldn't sell enough tickets. That's a venue that holds, 800 people or so? So we had to postpone it for 3 months. And a year later, we were selling 60,000 albums a week, number one. So it was interesting.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. Anybody else care to share?
I've had a low point with the Ministry of Sound.
Yeah.
Just to curtail your high point over there. And leaving the Ministry of Sound. That was a tough one as a person. And then I think for me, a high point is literally a sold-out show, watching people put their hands in the air and having goosebumps, seeing tickets sell, looking at a billboard and it looks fucking amazing. Seeing a radio show go out and it just sounds fucking amazing. Excuse me for swearing, I'm hoping I'm not recording this. But I have high points all the time with my artists. Just as they get better, their success is your success, and anything that makes my goosebumps. So.
I mean, I hope I've not had a career-defining high yet, but I mean, I tend to agree with everybody else. It's like hearing a record for the first time on the radio. That's a really important high. Seeing a sold-out show, seeing a new artist, exciting a crowd for the first time, and realizing that they're going to have a career, like we did with Little Boots, and that's really exciting. you know, we haven't really gone much further than that. You know, we're about to release the second album for our first artist, so you know, hopefully more highs to come. And the only real low that I can think of, I think, is finding out that an artist is disappointed either by you or by somebody else, and if by somebody else, it's disappointed in a way you can't fix it, and that's a low.
Yeah, ditto.
Okay. Anybody else? Caroline?
I mean, it's pretty much the same thing as Lynn said, but when you hear a record that you've seen from the process of the artist being in the studio, finding, you know, getting all the clearances done, battling with the lawyers, getting the artist involved, to that final point where you're in a club and it drops and you buzz off your artist and they just turn around and look at you and do that, and everybody's arms up. And the low point is usually at 6:30 in the morning when it was supposed to finish at 4, and he keeps looking over the same shoulder going, one more. And the longest he's done that for is about 10 hours in Miami.
That's a good low point.
Yeah. But I've got the question.
Go on,
I've got
give
the
us the question.
Is it time to go to the bar?
Can we run with that one? Can we take a vote?
I have actually. I'm happy to go with it because I've got some good news for you on that front. If you're into the football or not into the football, at El Hotel, which is a few steps away opposite Pasha, we've got a free bar over there. So I think that might get you over there. And happy to wrap it up with you.
Okay. Are we going with the big vote? Are we? Okay. We'll end it here. Thank you very much.
Okay.